Well, good morning, everybody. We're still working on this bee. As you know, yesterday we got the first reduction done. Yeah, so we're doing good. We've got the mag on it. First reduction's done. But I ran into a snag this morning. When you put the washer on and the castle nut right here, and go to put the cotter pin in, the castle nut is completely inside of that cotter pin hole. So basically it doesn't amount to anything, and what it will allow this to do is back off maybe a whole turn before it starts hitting the cotter pin. And if it loosens up that much and that first reduction gets loose in here, yeah, the sunlight's not helping, is it? But beautiful day out. There we go. So anyway, I'm going to make a spacer for that, about 3/16, same size as this washer, which looks to be like 3/4 by, you know, 1.25 inches maybe, or something, 1.125 inches. I'll go see what it is on a mic. But anyway, I'm going to make that on the lathe real quick, and I'll bring you back and show you what I come up with. Okay, I got a piece of steel over there that's 1/3/16 in diameter, and as you can see, it doesn't interfere with anything in there. Actually, it'll have 1/8 of an inch clearance between all the snap rings. And if you bring that over to the cover, which I haven't washed up yet, and look in the cover, plenty of room, because it's going to be inboard of this anyway. So yeah, all I got to do now is bore it 5/8 and cut it off after I face it. I'm going to make it probably 1/4 inch, because those grooves on the castle nut are about 1/4 inch deep, and right now I'm actually outside of the castle nut altogether, so I'm going to try to make it about 1/4 inch on this piece over here. My lights burned out the other night, so I got no light over here really, but that's a piece of steel I'm using. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It came out of the scrap bucket, but I can tell you that the machine's quite difficult. I don't have carbide on either, but I probably should have. I don't know what it is, but it acts like it's fairly hard. Yeah, I'm 9/16. So that's a 9/16 hole. I gotta just go get a 5/8 drill, enlarge it a little bit. And yeah, it looks pretty smooth. I might not even have to face it, but I'll frig around with it a little bit and I'll bring you back. Anything will help. Yeah, we only needed 1/4 inch, so we got plenty. And I'm going to put my cut off steel in there after I sharpen it, and we'll cut 1/4 inch off. Well, so this is what I ended up with. I forgot to turn the camera on when I was cutting it off, but anyway, straightforward, nothing fancy. You know, just making it better than it was. So anyway, yeah, as you can see, that'll clear in there all right, which that should be on the complete outside of it anyway. See what we got here. Yeah, that fits nice and tight. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but the actual bearing race is out further than the actual shaft, as far as that radius on the shaft. So that means we're still getting compression. You know, if you run out here where you're back onto that step, then you got to go ahead and machine a little off that or do some other modifications, because there's something where it doesn't belong. All your splines are wore. So anyway, yeah, we're going to see how that's going to work. It looks to me like it's going to be just about right, because it's not going to go in much more. Yeah, I don't know here if we can see that. I think it'll be all right here once we get it tight. Oh, look at that. Right back in the slot where it belongs. So we just got to put the impact on that. We ain't got to go far, probably only that 1/2 notch, because like I say, we already got the spline's compressed up. So yeah, let me hit that up and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, we was actually way over at this one. It was halfway in the middle. So when I hit it with the impact, of course, it went all the way to here instantly. So it's fairly tight now. Had to impact it pretty hard there to get it where I needed it, but yeah, drive that down in. We'll pull the outside one out. I'll get one at a time here. Can't do nothing one-handed. I'll bring you back. Yeah, I got that bent over and everything looks good. Cotter pin's tight, nothing rattles. So the only thing I got to do now is put the cap on. And this here is taken care of. Then we're going to start on the actual putting the clutch in, which is no big deal. It just slides together. But anyway, I'll show you the steps. Yeah, we're just making a simple gasket here for this cover. I'm one of those people there, if I can, I just trace it. Went in the other room, took my gasket punches, punched out the 2 holes. Then just, we'll make easy work of the rest of it. There, we'll get one more piece of the puzzle done here. Yeah, if I can find that hole, there we go. Beautiful. I'm not going to show it because it's going to be a slow process, but I've got to make a gasket for this. I could use silicone, but I'd rather have a gasket on it. You know, this one of those pieces you might have off again. You never know how soon. So anyway, all the stuff in here gets safety wired when we get done. So it'll be a little bit of a project, but nothing major. This is the last hard piece of this clutch. And then the rest just lubricate and put together. So I haven't put this on yet because I wanted to show you something. I've got the gasket made, but look right now through that hole right there. You always want to make sure that's open. And that drains to the outside world, everybody. That doesn't go back into the crankcase. So yeah, this goes on. If for some reason too much oil gets in here and starts coming out towards the clutch, it'll go in there. That's why this is kind of a labyrinth type seal here. Not exactly, but it's close. You know, if it gets by this lip, it's going to go down this lip and centrifugal force. And then it'll run out the back side. And this here is not to keep your belt on, it's to keep the oil away from the belt. So that's why this piece of tin is here. So anyway, yeah. I got the gasket made. I pounded it out here a minute ago. And I'm going to put that on. We'll show you here when we're done. Yeah, so I got this all safety wired. I just wanted to show you something here. When you put these safety wires on these bolts, always make sure that if you pulled on that wire hard enough, theoretically it would want to tighten the bolt. And you can see all of them are like that. This one here, the way the holes went, you know, it would have been easier to come through the back and keep going on this one here, but that would be loosening the bolt as you tighten on the wire. So you have to keep that in mind. Sometimes you have to go pretty aggressive on the angle, you know, and come back, but you want them all to be tightening the bolt if you was to pull the wire tight. So anyway, and then up here, of course, these are studs. It makes no difference whatsoever. Just get it through there, but you know, theoretically, the stud could pull, I guess. But anyway, I got lock washers on these. It doesn't call for it in the book. It calls for a lead washer. But there's room enough for that lock washer. And since it would back out quite a ways and get a lot, you know, quite a lot of gap in here on the front, if you was to let it loosen up to the wire, I figured I better put the lock washers on it. So that's kind of, you know, it doesn't really even need the safety wire on those two, but you got to bring it together somehow. So anyway, next thing is get the clutch over here. We will lube up the inside, put a little bit of Ultra Slick in here on this journal, and yeah, a little grease on this outer bearing. We'll get her over here and look her over. So this roller bearing right here, it's actually not a, it's a, I think they called it a Hyatt bearing in the old John Deere's. I don't know what they call these, but anyway, it's a regular, it's not a tapered bearing or nothing, it's just a flat one. And we got some Ultra Slick on this side. I'm gonna go get a finger full of grease. This is the slimiest wet grease, just as slick as it can be, feels good. It's not dried out at all, but I am gonna add a little bit to it, just because I'm in here. So I'll be back in a minute. Now let's see what we can do here. This should slide right in if everything's right. Huh. Well, that's a bummer. This is actually making contact right there. I gotta clean this real well and see if it's just a little bit of dirt in here, or if we're gonna have to undo that safety wire and go that route. Boy, there's not much on the inside of that pulley. I'd say I might have to, it's only hitting on this front. That sucks. Anyway, I would say when I put this on, you know, there's always slop in the bolts, and I kind of tried to pick it up, put it midway, and I would say that I should have just left it setting on the bolts. Although it shows signs of rubbing all the way around it from before. Yeah, I got rub marks all the way, so I don't know here. I gotta do some cleaning. I'll be back. Well, you know what they say, you know, sometimes things just go the way they go. So, yeah, we'll just pull the safety wire out. Rub's pretty hard in the top here, so we've got to pull the safety wire out, loosen the nuts and bolts, and once we do that, we're going to actually just pull off of there. I lost something. Find it later, I guess. Anyway, we'll loosen them up enough that they'll hold it, but it'll still move. And we'll put that pulley on there. And we'll tap that a little bit with a hammer. Will that move now? I don't know if it will. We'll get this so we can move it around. That one's loose. That one's a little snug, but that one was... Okay, now let's see if this moves. Oh yeah. Yeah, it'll move. Okay. Now we'll put that back on there. Little spot right there. I'll show it to you. You can just see where it knocked a little bit of the dust out right there. So it's just tapping a little bit on the top. Yeah, I think that's good. No drag on it now. Yeah. Now we can tighten them up. I guess that's a lesson to us all. Yeah, we're going to call it. Now we just got to tighten everything. And after we tighten it, we'll do another double check. Oop, wrong size. Go over here. And then we get the safety wire again if it works. Okay. Test this one more time. Yeah, I like that. Not going to make heat anywhere. So, another 30 inches of safety wire. Oh, good thing I got plenty of it. And yeah, I'll bring you back here when we get the next part done. There, second try. She's all done, so it's pulling the bolts tight as you tighten it. Whoop, missed it there. There you go. So anyway, yeah. So we will put that old girl on and put the forks to it. Good thing this pulley's not a heavy one. There we go. I like it. Now, you can see right here, this is where your yoke goes into, that groove right there. So we'll put a little bit of that Ultra Slick on it before I put the forks on. And yeah, I gotta wash the forks up. I haven't washed them up yet. But I gotta be careful because I don't want to get kerosene or anything on the brake, the clutch brake. So anyway, I'll get that cleaned up and we'll be back. Okay, we're back at it again. I didn't get very far today. It's actually almost 4 o'clock. Put a little bit of this Ultra Slick. You don't have to put it all the way around both sides because it'll smear around when it turns over. Just a little something so it don't dry up. Start up dry. Yeah, dry up start. Yeah. So that goes, tip that right down like so. That'll tip right in like that. And get the long bolt in the top. There we go. Short ones go on the bottom. I should say shorter. Piece of gasket material there that when I pounded the gasket out. Yeah, let's see here. That's 5/8, and I think them are 9. They are. Why won't that any start? Well, I'll bring you back here when I figure out what's going on. Well, when I took the hammer and tapped this out, I didn't get one of those pieces of gasket material out of the hole. Now she'll line up and go in. Yeah, I had to go change batteries in the GoPro. Nothing unusual, I guess. Get these pulled up easy. I put the high tack on one side of that gasket only, and that's the side that comes off with the actual clutch lever. That way, if you ever have to take it off and replace the gasket, you can do it off the tractor instead of scraping gaskets around where all the oil stuff is. So anyway, that is installed. And you actually might have to take off the cap. I wouldn't actually take the mag off because I'd have to time it again, but I might have to take this cap off to get that pin in. I'm not sure. Huh, interesting. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna start over here now. And I'm gonna go and get one clutch disc to put in there after I get it cleaned. And then we're gonna put that clutch drive. That's actually what drives the tractor. That goes in the middle, and another clutch plate on the outside. And then we gotta snug that dandy up. And while I think of it, because I might not show it later, there is a pin in here. That pin right there. That pin goes right on that short spline right there. And sometimes these pins get missing. So you got to make sure that if the pin is missing, there's a boss up top, got a pin in it. You can find out where it's supposed to be. These are weighted. They're part of the balancing of the engine. So you got to make sure they go on where they belong. So anyway, I'm going to go, I'm going to wash up my discs and I'll be back. As you can see, I've got one disc there that I've washed up and I've got set in there. That should stay right there. And this, I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not, but we're going to try it. Come on. That goes on. This is just like the other first reduction gear. You always want to make sure that you've got a lot of room here before you get to the shoulder of this shaft. Because if you don't, you'll be in trouble. And you'll end up thinking it's tight and it won't be. And we'll see here what we got for, we may have to make another wider washer for this also. I'm gonna, yeah, that's gonna go on a ways. I don't know, we'll walk it up. They don't give you any actual torque specs on these that are in the book. I read through an original book there that Paul let me borrow. He was the fellow that is a fireman on the Cog Railway there. Some of you may remember him. He gave me didn't give it to me, he loaned it to me, an original service manual from John Deere itself. You know, the one that the dealers had. He came by it by friends and whatnot. Nice book. I read everything I could find on this particular assembly 2 nights ago, and I couldn't find a torque spec anywhere for it. Every place in the book, it says assemble and tighten. Don't ask me what they call tight. I'm just going to walk it up with the impact till the hole lines up and we'll call it good. So anyway, I'll bring you back here once I get that knocked out. So I've pushed it in almost 1/8 of an inch, and as you can see, the cotter pin hole, it's about 50% still in the castle nut. I think as long as I have a large cotter pin the right size, I don't think I got to make another washer. But I pushed it in quite a ways. It's some friggin' tight. So, matter of fact, I kind of debated whether to stop up on this the notch before, but anyway, we'll get a cotter pin in there in a minute. Okay, so I went and found a cotter pin. I got a good big one that fits in it good. This is 3/16. Quarter-inch one won't go in there quite, so. Boy, is that a hard cotter pin. Well, as long as that doesn't hit anything on the cover, that should be fine. Knock that in, nothing wiggles. That will secure that. Now we'll get our other clutch disc and we'll continue. These discs are rounded a little bit on one side. That goes towards the outer piece where it sets into it. And then all you do is set it over the bolts. Make sure all your springs are on it. Just like so. And then you've got 3 castle nuts that go onto that. Now it's real simple to adjust this. Once you get it clutched in with your hand clutch, so that these bolts are pulled in as far as they'll go, you look in here, make sure your gap is going in even, and you just screw these all in until they're all snug. Then you undo your leather there, and like give them a half a turn, half turn, half turn. See what it feels like snapping it. According to the book, you're supposed to have like 70 pounds of force to shove that over center. I never have them that tight on any of them, but that's what the book says. So, you know how stuff is, you know. Make it so that you can run it yourself. I used to have the kids and stuff, you know, when they was only 12, 13 years old, run them a lot. And yeah, you get one of these things set up that takes 70 pounds of pressure, and half the time they can't snap them. And then they ride around, they keep kicking out, and they're slipping the clutch, and yeah, so. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna go on to the handle now. We gotta make a new pin for that and bush the handle. You know, guys, it doesn't look like we did much today, but we actually did. Yeah, I got a few things done. Anyway, kind of in between doing the greenhouse, we started that 3rd greenhouse, and I helped Carol most of the day out there, so I stopped doing that. Tomorrow, if we have time, we're going to bush this. I got to set up my milling machine here. We're going to bore it just a skosh oversize. Take just a little bit out of it. I don't want to take out too much because I don't want to thin it out to the point where it breaks. But we'll bore it a little bit. The original bushing was around 25-30 thousandths thick, I would guess. Some of it's as thin as 6 thousandths on this upper end. Pretty well wore out. So yeah, so tomorrow we're going to make a bushing out of this piece, make a new pin, and bore that piece. That'll be tomorrow. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.